Hey guys, thanks for tuning into Rules for Rebels. The title of today's video is How to Make $1 Million in 5 Months. So today we're going to be talking about the $1 Million homepage. Now, some of you guys are probably familiar with this story. This goes back to 2005. And this is a really incredible story about how gimmicky stuff can work, about why you should try every idea that you have if it's something you can get started cheaply and easily. And really how everything can be monetized, as well as just the overall power of the internet. So for anybody who's not familiar with the story, there was a young kid by the name of Alex 2. Now, one day he decided, I'm sick of being broke. I think he also needed money to pay for college. And so he's sitting around brainstorming. He said, what would be a lofty goal? He said, I want to make $1 million. It's a pretty cool goal, right? Then he said, I want to make $1 million in 2 weeks, 14 days, right? 2 weeks, make $1 million in 2 weeks. So I believe he was a self-taught programmer, but this is a pretty simple website, as you'll see. And it's called the $1 Million homepage. This is from back in 2005. I believe he launched it August 9th or August 19th of 2005. And the idea is he's going to have a homepage with nothing but like ad spots. And it's going to be $1 per pixel. Now, a pixel is literally a dot. So a single pixel would be a color. So you had to buy at least $10 worth of spots, which would be 10 pixels, which I believe would give you a little square like this star. Some people obviously bought more. This one's probably, I don't know, what's that, like 60 pixels or something like that. But anyhow, $1 a pixel, there's 1 million pixels on the page. If he sold all of them, he would make $1 million. Now, a lot of people are probably like, well, this is kind of stupid. What's the point of this website, right? I would compare this to a lot of other things that have kind of gone viral. You guys remember when somebody back in the day sold advertising space on their forehead on eBay? The first person to do it, because it picked up media coverage and became a big story, wound up getting, I forget whether it was $80,000 or $800,000, but they got a whole lot of money. And the reason they got so much is because whoever bought that, this was all over the media. So when you bought the advertising spot on the guy's forehead, you're not just buying an advertising spot on one guy's forehead who's going to walk around for a week or 30 days or whatever it is. You're getting all this media attention because you're the company who bought the ad on the guy's forehead. I remember years ago, glitter bombs were really cool. Recently, I ordered my girlfriend's brother an exploding dick bomb from Dick's by Mail. A lot of times, these silly little websites wind up going viral. And I had actually mentioned this in the video I made the other day about drop shipping. And I'd said, I think you're better off doing something unique and even something kind of gimmicky or goofy than following the path of like what everybody else is doing. So before we get into the story, I got a couple takeaways from today's video. Number one, anything can be monetized. You can make money off literally anything. Even if you think something's a stupid idea, it's worth trying. Number two, if you have an idea, no matter how silly or goofy or stupid you think it is, if you can roll it out for under $100 and in just a couple hours, you really have very little to lose. Move forward with it, do it, see what happens. Like, I'm sure this guy probably thought, like, are people really going to give me $1 million to put ads on a site? I mean, on the surface, like, I can't imagine this is going to attract a lot of sales, but why do people buy these ads? Because they think it's cool, they think it's clever, they want to be part of it. And there's a thing called culture hacking where you try to tie in your business with something trending or, faddish that's going on. So with this, like if I had an e-commerce site, I might buy a pixel on here for $10 or whatever, and then I could write a blog post. We were part of the $1 Million homepage, and now I'm getting like keywords for $1 Million homepage leading to my website. Maybe someone stumbles upon it and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool, we'll support him. But basically you're trying to attach yourself to some cultural phenomenon, some trending thing. Next point. Failing isn't failing, it's simply feedback on what you're doing. It puts you in the right direction. Just because you fail doesn't mean you're a failure. You simply found one more thing that doesn't work. We have the whole example of how many times did Thomas Edison fail at inventing the light bulb? I hope it's that. Yeah, Edison. What did he fail? 1,000 times or 10,000 times? And every time he said, I know one more way that this isn't going to work. So failing is simply feedback. And then lastly is do something different than everybody else. A trend that it's great having the internet and Reddit and blogs. We can learn from each other and share strategies and things like that. That's fantastic. It's very helpful for entrepreneurs. but I think it can also kind of sometimes handcuff us. And when I say that, I mean, if everybody sees everybody else doing AliExpress dropshipping, well, if I want to start a business, I've seen a million other people do this. People tell me they're having success with it. I'll just follow down that path, and that may not be the right path for you. So one of my messages is do something different than everybody else. And one connection I kind of made to the $1 Million homepage. So back in 2005, when this guy rolled out the $1 Million homepage, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was the end of the Made for AdSense days, or MFA. And Made for AdSense is when you used to be able to kind of trick Google and trick search engines, and you could throw up shitty one-page websites and get a ton of traffic, and people were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month off Google AdSense. And that was the tail end of the Made for AdSense days. Now, 2005 was before YouTube even rolled out, I believe. I think YouTube was 2006. So there weren't gurus online telling you how to make money. There weren't anything like that. But I'm sure this guy was familiar with Made for AdSense from Black Hat Forum or Warrior Forum or blogs and things like that. But what did he do? Instead of just copying the Made for AdSense thing, which was coming to an end, which was saturated, he found something completely unique and interesting to do. And I would almost compare today to this very same thing. Right now, we are at the very end of the AliExpress dropshipping thing, right? Like, AliExpress dropshipping is so played out. There's so many people doing the Facebook ads. There's so many people doing the just pay shipping gimmicks. It's really, really played out, but it's at the peak of the height of telling everybody else to get in, right? Like, you see everybody selling their courses and everything else. Every single fucking, YouTube pre-roll ad. Do you want to make $1 million? Do you want to have, so as soon as you start seeing that, it's at the end. So you, instead of hopping on this bandwagon of everybody doing the same thing, do something goofy, do something unique. If you want to make big money, if you're trying to squeeze out $20 a month or $50 a month off something, by all means do, AliExpress dropshipping. I'm not a huge fan of it, but you probably have a better chance of making a little bit of money doing that than you do with kind of a goofy or unique or kind of cool idea like this. But if you want to make big money, I guarantee you have a better chance. As unlikely as it is as your gimmicky website or idea is going to take off, you have a better shot of making big money on a long shot like this than you do doing something like AliExpress dropshipping if you're actually looking to make serious money. I notice a lot of people are looking to do like things that they can get rolling really quickly or really cheaply or that they don't have to invest too much time in. And if you want that, you're not going to make money with little to no effort doing the same played out stuff that everybody else is doing. There's tons of competition. People have seen that already. If you do, and I'm not suggesting people should be trying to do lazy things, but if you are somebody who kind of leans towards lazy things, do something lazy that's at least unique, and you're going to have a lot better chance of being successful. So, again, getting back to the story, Alex, too, he created this website. He wanted some money for college. He wanted to make $1 million in 2 weeks. He never really thought it would work, but whatever, if you don't try things, you have no chance of succeeding. So he rolled this out, started selling some ads to family and friends, wound up taking off. Then businesses started getting involved. As this kind of started trending online, the media started picking up the story, and then people wanted to be involved in it even more because it was getting a lot of attention. And the last 1,000 pixels, he had sold everything but the last 1,000 pixels. So he had sold 900 pixels, and he had 1,000 pixels more to sell. He wound up auctioning them off on eBay, and I believe that sold for $38,000. And it filled up, as you can see here, it's sold out. So this is literally what the project is. You had poker sites and different people advertising on here. Bet365. I'm kind of surprised they were around back then. BetED. Let's see if this is ED medication or... Okay. But yeah, I did some research on this, and apparently 70% of these links that were on here are now dead links, are no longer active. And we've had pretty good luck. Most of these have taken us somewhere, but yeah, I did find a couple dead ones earlier. Anyhow, this guy does a lot of these types of projects, a lot of these kind of, and when I say gimmicky, I'm not trying to take any credit away from him or say this is lazy. Like, I think he's incredibly creative. I think he's a marketing genius. I think he's incredibly smart. And he does a lot of these little kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of gimmicky or maybe a better word would be viral type of projects, and he tries to launch these things and make them big. Here's another one he did called Do Nothing for 10 minutes, or Do Nothing for 2 minutes, and you literally look at a sunset. What's it say here? Just relax, listen to the waves, don't touch your mouse or keyboard. So it's just kind of a way to kind of be quiet and relax for 2 minutes, because a lot of us in our busy lives have so much going on. So, I thought that was was kind of an interesting website as well. And maybe I'll do a follow-up video with some more of his projects and things like that. One last thing I wanted to show you is an interview with him from the, Virtual Enterprise Conference from 2011. And he talks about launching this project, and I thought he gives a ton of great kind of big picture mentality stuff in terms of entrepreneurship. So I wanted to play this interview for you and kind of comment on it as we go.
The Millions homepage was born out of...
Oh. Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry we had a little bit of audio issues there, but I think I got everything straightened out here. So let's launch into an interview with the creator of Million Dollar Homepage, Alex 2. And I think there's some wonderful gems, big picture stuff, and just some good information about entrepreneurship and having success with various online hustles and things like that. So let's get into it.
The Millions homepage was born out of necessity, really, because I didn't want to be broke. And I was just brainstorming and was thinking about what would be. The initial kind of thought was what would be a bold goal, you know. So I wrote down this: how could I become a millionaire, right? I think I wrote down how could I become a millionaire in 2 weeks, like I was being really serious.
And I think this is powerful. Like, everything comes from brainstorm. We hear a lot of people who launch some big idea, and people are like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Or, oh, that's a great idea. Or, oh, he got lucky. But the thing about luck is you don't get lucky unless you actually take some action, unless you actually try to roll out some of these ideas you have.
Really.
And another thing, I'm sure when he started this, he probably was hopeful, but at the same time, I'm sure he never in a million years thought he was really going to make $1 million off Million Dollar Homepage.
Kind of spurred that kind of creative process. But I mean, generally, I don't know, I just sort of, I guess I just look at what's around and ideas sort of just happen to some extent.
And I think that's another important point. One of the things I see people talking about so much in comments and emails and comments of other people's YouTube channels and Reddit is like, where do I come up with an idea? How do you guys get your ideas? And it's just, I think one of the most powerful skills, or maybe not even skills so much as habits or features of an entrepreneur, is curiosity. Like, I know when I'm like watching TV or reading something, like everything I hear spurs my curiosity, and it's like, okay, I have to watch a YouTube video and learn a little bit more about that. Oh, I'm going to look that up on Wikipedia. And as you kind of develop a curiosity and start looking into different things, ideas are just going to start to present themselves to you. Another thing I like to say a lot is look around you. You know, I'm not sure how he came up with this idea, but you know, what products should I sell? What kind of things do you use in your everyday life? Like, what do you have around your house? Zip drives, puzzles, like. A lot of times that will spur an idea. Look to like hobbies or interests of yours and like, could I sell anything in this area? So yeah, just looking around, being cognizant, being curious, and just having the mindset that you're always looking for an idea or an angle, and ideas are going to present themselves to you.
The Millions homepage, I knew it was quirky enough to get some attention, but to what extent it was going to work, it was difficult to say. And the fact that it did work to like the full extent, in a relatively short space of time, was really a validation of the power of the internet, you know? And how.
Now keep in mind, he did this back in 2005. Facebook or YouTube wasn't around. I think Facebook was probably around, but it's nowhere near what it is today. We didn't really have the Web 3.0 thing. Medium wasn't around. Back then, the media was a lot. The internet was a big thing, but the media was still very powerful. And even back in 2005, he said this really highlights the power of the internet and how quick something can go viral. And I think later he talks about how the internet really levels the playing field. Like back in the day, even back in 2005 and even more so previous to that, if you wanted to get a lot of people's attention, you almost had to get the media behind you. And now with Facebook and Instagram and live streaming and everything else, like everybody has an audience. If you have something interesting to say, if you have something that people are interested in, you can get it out in front of people.
How ideas can spread fast, and even faster now. Like that was 5 years ago, and the power lay more with news media, and now the power lies with the individual and social media. I mean, news media is still powerful, but things spread even quicker. So do nothing for 2 minutes. The whole of the growth in the first couple of days was social media, driven by individuals liking the idea enough for it to spread.
And Do Nothing for 2 Minutes was this website here. Again, I'm going to try to look into some of his other projects because he does a lot of projects like this. He says he has a lot more failures than he does successes, but I think these are like really cool, really interesting, and I'd love to look into some more of his other projects. And I think it just kind of helps inspire ideas within us. It makes you realize that you can have success doing the oddest things. So yeah, maybe I'll try to make a follow-up video with some more of these little projects that he's launched.
And only later, when it was already popular, did the news media take an interest and give it another boost. But it was successful, probably faster than it would have been had it been done years ago. You know, the internet has flattened the landscape, so it's leveled the playing field, right? So ideas that people like will spread really fast.
And that's really powerful as well. You know, I talk a lot about how lucky we are to be living in this age of technology and the internet and entrepreneurship. You know, years ago, even, you know, I don't know, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if you wanted to start a business, you probably needed a brick and mortar store. You would have to leave your job because somebody has to man the brick and mortar store. You're going to need money to buy inventory, to open a store, to remodel the store, as well as to live off of, since most small businesses don't make a profit for anywhere from a year to 5 years. So very few people actually had the opportunity to do something. Now with Shopify and the internet and e-commerce and everything else, anybody can launch a business and work from 7 at night to 2 in the morning. Shopify means you don't have to be a web developer to be able to build a website. Sites like Alibaba or Thomasnet.com allow people like you and me to connect with suppliers and buy things or drop ship things, as opposed to in the past where you probably would have had to be in the industry to have those connections to actually do things like this. So we're living in a very powerful time, and if you're not taking advantage of it, you have nobody but yourself to blame.
And it obviously depends on the idea, to what extent it spreads and how useful it is. You know, some ideas become actual useful utilities like Facebook. Some of them are short-lived, like the projects that I've done generally.
So he focuses on, again, I hate to use the word gimmicky because I feel like that's taking some credit away from him. But for lack of a better word, we'll say gimmicky. He does a lot of these little projects that he doesn't necessarily expect to turn into huge long-term things. But shit, if you can make $5 million, or if you can make $1 million in 5 months, you really don't need a 10-year long-running business. I mean, with my e-commerce business, which is probably in the top 10 or 5 or even 3% of successful e-commerce businesses in terms of your average, like, normal person starting an e-commerce business, it would probably take, at today's pace, with having a partner and with reinvesting in the business, it would probably take me about 10 years to make $1 million. And then this guy did it in 5 months. So not every idea has to be something traditional, has to be something long-term that's going to run for 10 years. You know, he gets an idea, he moves forward with it. And I think that's another powerful thing, is if you have an idea, like I said at the beginning, that can be started in just a few hours and for just a couple $100, there's no reason not to press forward with it. There's a ton of upside and absolutely almost no downside. And I don't think I mentioned this in this video thus far, but in yesterday's video, I mentioned just kind of a goofy idea I had called, what was it? Online swear jar. So, you know the concept of a swear jar? Maybe when you're a kid, if you cussed or whatever else, your mom would make you put a quarter or $1 into a jar. So my idea was to have a site, onlineswearjar.com or something like that. It would just be like a one-page website with a jar, and if you click the jar, you could put $1 in. So if you smoked a cigarette and you're trying to quit smoking cigarettes, you go put $1 in. If you were rude to your wife, you put $1 in. If you watch TV when you told yourself you weren't going to watch TV, if you eat meat on Good Friday, whatever it is, you can go put $1 in, and it's like 100% pure profit if people were to actually do this. Would people actually do it? I mean, more than likely it would probably be a huge flop. It might make $5 and a couple people might use it, but it would take such little effort and such a small amount of money to try it that there's no reason not to try it. I haven't tried it. Maybe I should take my own advice here. But if anybody likes the idea, run with it. But that's just kind of the goofy ideas that we're talking about. I made a video a while back titled, like, what was it, like 5 Stupid Ways to Make Money or something, but it was about, like, dicks by mail and exploding glitter bombs and that Steve guy from Shark Tank, I want to draw a cat for you. I just heard something the other day. People are selling compressed air in like spray cans and selling to people in China, and it's like fresh mountain air because China has, you know, air pollution and smog. So you never know what ideas are going to take off.
But the opportunity, the barriers to launching things is even lower. You know, you can buy a computer, you can buy a few books on programming or design, and you can get something going pretty quickly.
And what's kind of interesting nowadays, and two things have changed a lot since 2005 or even 2011 when this interview was shot. You can buy a computer for a couple $100. Everyone's got an internet connection. You don't even really, I mean, if you want to learn programming or coding or design or web design or something like that, more power to you. But you don't even need to know that type of stuff. I mean, with Shopify, anybody who knows how to drag and drop things can set up an e-commerce site. With some of these WordPress page builders, anybody can build a really advanced, really cool website. With sites like Wix and Weebly, well, they maybe aren't ideal, even easier. That everybody can build a website, everybody can design something, and even if you don't want to do it yourself or can't figure out how to do it yourself, go to Fiverr, go to Upwork. We have so many opportunities available to us.
And if you can't do it, you can find people pretty easily who can help you. So the barrier to getting an idea out there is really, really low. And there's almost no excuse if you have an idea not to try something. If you can make time for it, and if you're sort of interested in that.
That's really another good point too. If you make time for it, how many of us say we want to do something, we don't press forward with it? I'm as guilty of this as the next person. If it's important to you, you need to find time to do it. And if you don't try things, nothing's going to work out for you.
You won't learn anything without trying. It's the old cliches, but they're just all true. And
Joe Rogan has a good phrase. He says 90% or maybe even 99% of it, and when I say it, life, success, business, whatever else, like 90% of it is just showing up. Like most people want to be, I think everybody at some point in their life has said, I'd like to be an entrepreneur, I'd like to start a business, or has had an idea. And the percentage of people who actually press forward and do something with it is so minuscule. I'm not saying just because you try something, it's going to work out. Obviously, that's not true. But just trying, just taking action, just doing something puts you ahead of 90% of people. If you stay persistent with it, that's probably going to put you ahead of another 5% of the people. And very little of it comes down to, I hate to say this, but I mean, I almost feel like very little of it comes down to like skill or being talented. Like it's really the people who get started and the people who put in the effort and stick with it for a long time. You're pretty much bound to have some level of success.
I mean, I've had tons of projects. So I've been doing internet stuff for 10 years. My first couple of projects were reasonably successful and acquired. Then I had some projects that didn't work out. Then the middle of the homepage, and some more projects didn't work out. I had more failures than successes, but I like to define failure. I saw someone had sort of said failure is really feedback, and I like to define it in that way.
That's a fantastic quote. Failure it doesn't mean you failed.
You find out what works and what doesn't, and that's what you're doing. It's not
things.
About saying that I am a failure. People take things too personally. Like you failed, but you're not a failure. You're only a failure if you stop trying. So in a
lot of these videos recently, I've been showing people who started like a Shopify store or whatever else, and it doesn't work out. And yeah, a lot of people give up too early. But some people, well, Shopify must be bullshit because I didn't make money. Well, maybe it's because your items are coming from AliExpress and it's taking 60 days to get to the person. Well, you learned a lesson. Here's what not to do. Don't sell something that somebody's not going to get for 2 months. Change things up. Go to thomas.net. Find a supplier in the U.S. who you have a relationship with, who's going to ship things quickly. Maybe now it works out. Maybe you decide not to go the e-commerce route and try to set up a niche Instagram page and sell shout-outs or whatever else. But everything you try, you're going to figure out something that doesn't work, and it's going to spur on new ideas, and all along you're developing skills. So yeah. That's the point. You just got to keep going, keep trying things, and don't give up. Just if you enjoy what you do and you believe in the ideas that you're doing, then just keep going. Some of them will work, some of them won't. But you only learn by trying. So. Okay, so that's pretty much a video. Like you said, you only learn by trying. And here's one thing. I think a lot of people try to go from 0 to 100. Wait, what's that, Drake song? 0 to 100 real quick. I think a lot of people try to go 0 to 100 real quick. And really, I've talked about this before, but, I don't know if it was like 2009, 2010, 2013, whatever it was that I kind of first got a little bit interested in blogging and set up a .blogspot site and was trying to do affiliate marketing, was trying to do the Made for AdSense thing even after it was already dead. I didn't have a lot of success. At first had no success, then was making 3 cents a day, then a quarter a day. Okay, Made for AdSense is dead. I got to find something else to do. Maybe I can try to sell ebooks. But all along this evolution that you go through as an entrepreneur, through failure, you're figuring out what works and what doesn't work. You're figuring out what niches and what topics do well and which don't. You're figuring out what tools online work and which don't. One idea winds up kind of springboarding you to the next one. This didn't work, maybe if I tweak it this way. So the whole thing is just kind of an evolution. And if you stick with it and keep trying things and stay curious and press forward with ideas, things have a way of working out for you. So that's today's video, guys. That is how you make $1 million in 5 months. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know. Drop a comment. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video where we touch on some of this guy's other businesses. And that's one other thing is, before we cut out, everything can be monetized. And don't think of things as so black and white. Like I have to do e-commerce, or I have to do this. I have to start a YouTube channel, or I have to start an Instagram. Okay, you know, just like the same more traditional businesses that everybody's going into. Think about some goofy ideas. Set up a, you know, I don't like the swear jar idea, but don't be afraid to do something kind of outside the box that somebody else hasn't done. Because there's no if you're the only one doing something, maybe it's a stupid idea, but there's also no competition because you're the only one doing it. So that's today's video, guys. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button down below. Slowly making my way to 100,000 subscribers, waiting for that day I can hold up that silver play button. So help me out, hit that subscribe button. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Rules for Rebels, signing out. Later, guys.